Our next very, very special guest, second one of the stream, my second guest ever on a stream, is a consummate musician, pianist, composer, producer, thinker, and music streamer from Brooklyn, New York City. Crafts a piano, electronica, piantronics style that's all his own after a lifetime pretty much living in every genre, from what I understand. Lifelong music aficionado. You're equally likely to find him running etudes on the ivories as you are to find him digging through record store crates looking to find vintage hip-hop or punk vinyl. When he's not making music, you'll find him standing up for causes he believes in and engaging in fashion stylings with his collaborator Thinkman. You may have also seen him slashing the tires on millionaires' private jets as a part of his art piece Just Fucking Stop. And his new zine, Hey Dude, That Was My Donut, But We Can Share, hits newsstands in New York City next month. Let's give a warm welcome to MitchellxLeonard.
Oh my goodness gracious, what a fantastic introduction. Unbelievably accurate in every aspect of it. Do we have audio?
Yes.
Am I in?
I'm seeing you bouncing now.
Hey.
Hi. Yes, Mitch was saying too that this is your first time touching a keyboard in six weeks.
Yeah, 6 weeks. I took it. That's the longest. Honestly, I haven't touched a piano since I was probably 11 or 12, something like that.
Wow, really?
Yeah. That was 80 years ago.
How does that, because I've gone months sometimes, but I don't play the way that you play. Like how?
But have you gone months without doing any kind of music production or?
I've gone a year
really?
without doing any music before. Yeah.
Wow. What was that about?
Life, basically day job life type stuff. And also kind of just, feeling, I didn't really feel like I had something to say.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like when it comes time.
That doesn't stop a lot of artists.
I know that's true, right? Dan and I just talked about that actually. But yeah, just like I felt like I didn't, like there wasn't anything there that I wanted to have exist in the world. And I always have ideas, but it wasn't like I had a lot of ideas just knocking around and no time to really flesh them out. So I was like, better to just not do it than half-ass it,
Yeah. That's
so 6 weeks. So that's the longest hiatus you've had from playing. So, how is that coming back for you?
Well, it's good. It's kind of to the point where I was curious to see what would happen because I had to deal with some family stuff and went away, and it was a lot. It was a lot to deal with both emotionally and what I was doing in my day-to-day life. Like it was kind of overwhelming, just things to do.
Yeah.
Trips, talk to people, manage financial things, all kinds of stuff. So
Yeah.
and then when I got back, halfway through the trip, I kept trying to chug along, but I also have a day job. So just doing that was impossible. I was like, I can't work my day job and do music and deal with all this family stuff. So I just stopped. And then when I got back, I realized for the first time since I can remember, I was like, I don't have to do this. Like, I don't have to do it. I want to do it sometimes, but right now I feel like it hasn't even been a choice for me in the last 4 or 5 years. I'm just so automatically like, get up, make new music, do your thing, post, practice, that it was kind of an awakening for me to say like, I can just stop. I can stop for a week or a month or forever if I want to. It's like it never occurred to me.
So that's interesting because making the conscious choice to stop for me was, I think, Azaria's already left. Scott would actually remember. I think I was like 25 and I stepped away for a bit. That was the first extended break that I'd had in my life. But it's interesting that you talk about it becoming automatic and almost rote in a way, that you just expect, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And it just, do you find yourself when you were in that scenario before the break that, did you still feel the same creativity, the same pull, or was it just starting to kind of, you were going through the motions?
No, I still felt it. I still felt the same creativity. I was closing the door on a project that I now have to pick up again. So yeah, it wasn't like it was a bad time for me. I mean, as everybody I think out there can relate to that's a creative, it's hills and valleys. Like it spikes. Like it's not like when during this hiatus, it's been a nice even keel for me.
Yeah.
Because it's not like, oh my God, that stream was great, or oh, this song is coming together. backed with, I can't make this work and it's 2 a.m. or like, this was a great stream, but nobody was there. Like those hills and valleys are, there's something that are in some ways kind of stressful for you, even if it's exciting and there's positives in it. So it was interesting to kind of live life as like a regular even keel where I work my job and then I get off and then I was learning Spanish again, like getting things in order, like literally cleaning out my closet and, figuratively as well. Just getting caught up on all these things that I've been saying I'm going to do for years because, at 10 hours working and then 4 hours of music, that's your day.
Yeah,
maybe you got
practice
an hour
every day. You would run. I mean, you and I talked about this. Like you practice piano. Like this is not, you're not winging it out there. You're not like, hey, I'm gonna figure it out. No, you like legitimately work on your craft, like, which is very admirable.
Thanks. It's a lot. It's also, especially when you put that on top of in the context of streaming, getting visual elements that are entertaining and getting your sounds and your patches and finding new sequences and finding new sounds. On top of that, you also got to take time out to make sure that I can physically do, what I need to do. So it adds up. It's a lot of stuff, but I feel like and this is where I wanted to be. I'm in a very good place with it. Just in the last week, I'm like, oh, there's songs out there I need to make. And I just feel this responsibility. Like, I'm like, there's this song that I just got to make it, whether I want to or not. Like that song has to be out there. So I feel like it's coming back in, and I'm glad to chat with you today because I feel like this is a good introduction for me to just get back into it, to get back into that world.
Yeah.
Get on the Discords and chat with some people and do some support and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, heard, Chef. Because it's interesting to talk about, like, there's stuff that you want to have out there in the world. So Dan and I talked about the same thing just an hour ago. Very similar, at least, not the same thing. But 2 hours I've got blocked out tonight at 9 p.m. to listen to A Wait Not the Tide, which was an album I put out with some, like, I was the producer and the songwriter for it, and I had guest vocalists for most of the tracks in, like, 2017. It's like alt folk kind of thing.
Okay.
And it was one of my life projects, basically, because it was something that I wanted to have exist in the world.
Yeah.
Like,
totally.
It's got, like, 2 of the tracks got synthetic language that I wrote when I was 13, type of stuff.
Oh, I remember you talking about that. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So we're doing a listening party later on tonight, 9 to 11. But, like, it's interesting that you like this. It's not interesting that you feel the same creative pull because we share very similar type of stuff. But it's like I feel like there's an honesty that comes from wanting to create art that you yourself want to see in the world, versus trying to chase what you think is going to make you money or famous.
Well, that's not going to happen. Well, I mean, you can. I don't know. That to me is just an unattainable goal. And the older I get, the more I think that's for the best.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I just don't know how that would. I'm very happy, like in my core right now, and I don't want to mess with that.
That's good.
And I feel like it's hard for everyone to balance any kind of power. And you want to let's just call money power, because that's what it is, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fame power. It's just hard for people to balance. And there's people that really do it well, but the majority of us don't. And I don't know how I would be in that situation. Very few of us do if we were challenged with that. So, but yeah, I also feel like it's kind of, it's a recipe for insanity if that's really your goal, is to achieve big levels, gross levels of money or power. Then it's just not a recipe for being a happy person, because the odds are just so overwhelmingly against you. Now, you can have attainable goals, like I want to get to X amount of listeners, but this year, you know what I'm saying? Like I want to get 25% more people engaged this year with what I'm doing. You can set yourself metrics that are attainable, and you can work to attain those metrics. And steady, slow growth, I find, is the best key to really feeling fulfilled with what you do, aside from just doing it in the first place, from just putting it out there.
Yeah, I think that was the problem that I always had with TikTok, because when I relaunched Luquado 3.0, because I've been Luquado since I was 16 years old, but went into hiatus over the years, right? When I relaunched Luquado 3.0 in 2020, I started that, and I started doing like heavy Instagram, and everyone's saying you need to be on TikTok, you need to do that stuff too. It just seemed like it was like a social network that was built around trying to get TikTok famous for the sake of being TikTok famous, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that was just not what I was about, man. Like, that's not. I mean, also, I'm in my 40s, so who wants to see like?
Totally. So I'm with you on that too. It's like I feel like if I had, I don't know what to say, like 30 or 40 years ahead of me of creation, maybe I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna spend a year like trying to get a song to jump off by being something that people do a dance to or something. But
Yeah.
I don't really have time to mess with that or the wherewithal, you know. And also, like, even regardless of where I was in the game, I don't know. If you can piece that off to somebody else, it's cool, but it takes a lot of time away from kind of what you want to do.
Right.
Some of the methods is what I'm saying. Like, in a way, the landscape has changed from when we were young, because when we were young, you had to kind of get discovered, or you had to have a lot of money, you know, to put in. And a lot of people say, oh, it's different now because you can do your own promotion and you can put yourself out there and all that. And it's not different at all.
Yeah.
You can only break through promotionally if you have a lot of money or you know people. Now there still are people that do. I mean, there still are people that kind of break the ice just randomly because they got something cool that gets out there. But overwhelmingly, it's still money and connections. It's just a different kind of money and connections now.
Did I ever talk about the podcasting story with you? I don't remember. So, folks, you need to know this about us, is that Mitchell and I probably live like maybe 3 miles apart from each other. And we don't have, your keyboard's not coming through, by the way, sorry.
Oh, it's not?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, I wonder why it isn't. That's weird.
It's probably because we're on Zoom, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, we live maybe like 3 miles apart from each other. We met on a GSG Talk together. That was the first time we hung out. I mean, we'd been in each other's streams before. Mitchell actually had found me on YouTube when I first started streaming last April 19th. I put up some stuff and found me there. And then I went into one of Mitchell's. Hey, there it is.
Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Went into one of Mitchell's streams. I'm like, hey, you know, blah, blah. And it turned out, it was like, oh, you're the same guy. But then we hung out at NobCon and we're like, man, we need to kick it. When we get back to New York, we need to really kick it. And then Mitchell reached out like 5 times. And
thank you for.
I'll acknowledge it. And I was in the process of moving and a couple of other things. So my own upheaval, my own personal upheaval going on. So I mentioned, hopefully now we're going to be able to. I mentioned I'm coming out of my cocoon a little bit now.
There is a ton of stuff going on this summer.
I know. I'm really stoked about it, actually.
Because of my job, I'm super plugged into it. So I will definitely, I'll hit you up.
I will, but I owe you first to reach out and figure out when we're going to hang. But
all right. Well, I'm saying you knock out the time and then I'll come up with some suggestions. Okay. But I'm glad we got to check in. I'm glad we're checking in anyways.
I'm glad we're checking in too, man.
Checking in with my friend Aquato. Checking in. I'm sorry. That's all I got.
That's all you got. It's a work in progress.
Making this up as I go.
It's a work in progress. But God, how did I get on? Dude, I slept like 4 hours last night. I think I told you that.
Yeah, how you holding up?
Well, it's only hour 3 going into 4 right now, so ask me in hour 16.
Do you have any remember, didn't Jerry Lewis do something like that? Then there used to be remember that was like
the telethons and stuff like that?
The telethons, yeah.
Yeah.
It would go on for I don't know, 24, 48 hours, and he would start to come apart, get all raggedy toward the end. Do you have a way to get breaks?
No.
Is somebody else going to do something so you can just go lay down and shut your eyes like Dracula for a minute?
The closest thing would be the Waiting at the Tide listening party, and I actually want to be here for that. But then Ken and I are ambient jamming at 2 a.m., so I kind of have to make it to the end.
Okay.
But the reason I mentioned I'm tired is I don't remember how I got on the subject of how we were talking about hanging out and stuff like that. We were talking about doing stuff like the promotion and things like that, and having people do it. Podcasting. That's how I got on it. Okay.
Podcasting. Yes.
So,
you said few people know this, but
yes, back in 2004, from what I understand, I was the first artist to use podcasting to promote my own music. Every week, I would release a podcast, a single on a podcast, basically, a new thing I was working on, and I'd release it every week to everyone that followed the podcast. Okay. So because of that, I got asked to be on a bunch of panels about podcasting, 2005 era, and I moderated a couple too. And I remember I moderated this one at CMJ in 2005. And I remember being at it, and everyone was all about podcasting in the way that everyone's about AI right now. Okay. And I remember the thinking was that podcasting was going to democratize music. And it was going to remove the gatekeepers and this, that, and the other. And I was 25 then, and I took a much more measured tack. I was like, Yes, that's true, but removing the barriers is also going to mean that we're about to get a flood of music and artists.
Yeah.
Which,
Exactly. Like, how do you? Okay, so I mean, without the gatekeepers, there's still no way to be heard because you're just in this sea. You're dealing with such a volume that there's no way to break through.
100,000 songs, I think it is now, are released on Spotify every day.
Yeah.
100,000.
Well,
You talked about like, how do you weed through everyone's streams to find like the best clips? Like when people do like I do and upload their streams as albums, like how do you find the highlights? How do you find the highlights of that? 100,000 a day.
Yeah. Is somebody there?
Yeah.
Someone just ring your bell? Oh, you got food coming in?
No. It was it's the replacement Amazon, because I've been talking about this all day on the stream. That my Amazon packages got stolen yesterday in the hour between they got left on my porch. It's never happened. I live in Sunnyside. It's never happened before me.
Yeah.
But in the hour between, I got deliveries of like stuff I needed for the stream, like cables to be able to run all the cameras in the kitchen and all that stuff. Everything got stolen. And so they had sent me redelivery right now. So I'll go during the hour break. There it is, Amazon. Oh, Fee might have made it only moderated. Go get it, Space Jason Souvlaki says. It's the replacement ones now. If it ends up going again, I'll get it there. Amazon, there it is.
6 times. Okay. I'm glad you're tracking that.
I might have a camera set up out there.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, so that's what that doorbell was. But yeah, like you're right. Like nowadays, you still need money and time, man, to get your stuff out there.
Yeah, there we go. Is that feeding back at all? Can you still hear me okay?
No, I can hear you perfectly well.
Okay.
Yeah, you still need money and time to get your stuff out there. It's just a different gatekeepers now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just something that you have to be able to afford. Whatever TikTok sells acorns or something, like to promote yourself. You can't just spend money because that would be simple. And
Is it actually acorns? Like, what is it?
No, it's not acorns, but there's something they do that's like their currency, like bits.
Oh, yeah.
They have some kind of weirdo coin.
Yeah.
Because you can't feel like you're actually spending money because then you'll spend a bunch of your parents' money, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it has to be called something like bubblies or something like that. but in order to do that and really break through, I don't know. You still got to spend a lot of money. But
yeah,
I've heard on that note though, I messed with it once, kind of just for fun. Mm-hmm. But I listen to a lot of like the Ari's Take podcasts and just in my spare time listen to podcasts about like where trends are going. I'm really fascinated with where trends are going. And they also kind of say the same thing. They say, if you buy those ads, your stuff goes up for a while, but the second you stop paying, it goes back. They're like, just don't mess with it. Find some, which is really great advice. It makes me feel happy inside.
Yes.
They're like, just, find some way to be different or interesting, or just, keep putting yourself out there and be consistent rather than try and throw money at it. But
consistency is key. Like Damien Key's Academy has a very similar message for their promotion stuff. They sometimes are like, they actually sometimes recommend doing like throwing $5 at an ad, strictly like A/B test stuff. And I'm like, that's an interesting thing to do, but I mean, you don't have to. But it's just consistency is the most important thing. Yeah. I don't know who has the time. Like, I'm amazed at your streams. I always was, like the effort that goes into the meta of the stream. The graphics, the loops, the samples, the stuff, the amount of work effort that you put into it, besides having a full-time job, besides having a social life, like besides all of that.
Like, what life? Social what?
A social life. Like,
I'm kind of working on that though. Like that is one of my goals. Is I've been doing that over the last few weeks. I've been leaving the apartment. And I plan to leave several more times over the course of the summer.
Yeah, fancy that.
That's my goal.
Since I came here, I do try to get out like at least once every 2 days. I try to just go to my local and have like a party.
Okay. So yeah, that's important. But what I mean is like what my goal is, and I'm not kidding about this, like once a week, at least go out and do something.
Oh yeah.
Like find some art, go and check it out, go to a new place in the city, like talk to people around you. Like that's what I'm trying to set as a goal. And it's totally doable. There's so much stuff going on in this crazy city.
Yeah, we live in one of the world cities.
Yeah, totally.
And I don't know about you. I moved here in 2006 and I didn't avail myself of the city. Like my job consumed my life, and coming into 2020, I'm like, I'm turning 40 and I've lived here now 15 years. I'm like, I need to take advantage of the fact that I live in freaking New York City. Not like once every couple months go see the ballet or the opera or something like that. Like go more often, and then pandemic. So,
Yeah, that's the trade-off though, is that when you end up here, you have to work so hard to kind of stay afloat.
That's
financially, true. Just to be able to afford it, you really gotta spend your legs, or you can just roll into tens of $1,000s of debt, which a lot of people do as well. But it's tough. It's tough to stay afloat and then get time to get out and experience things as well. But
and now, were you born and raised here?
no, I was in Phoenix. I came from Phoenix, Arizona.
I think we talked about this maybe. And then you've been here for a while though.
Yeah, I have. I've been here long enough. I've been here past the point when most people really have to assess if they're staying, which is about 12 years. That's just my number. I don't know. But I've noticed in a lot of people that about when they crack a decade, they get to be 11, 12 years, then they're kind of like, Connecticut? Or am I going to chill here for a while, Jersey City, out beyond that? Or am I going to stay in New York? So...
Hey, Soundbites, good to see you. Folks, Soundbites is another... Hello!
This is Oddby.
Hey,
Hi, Oddby.
City. Always Jersey City.
She lives in
Super
Jersey City.
Side of the Hudson, but there's a lot going for it. All the 212 snobs hate on Jersey City, and I don't know why. I was legit, I didn't know y'all were live streaming, and I was like, just like musicians, they have a perfectly normal Zoom conversation with like microphones and headphones, but I realized y'all are live streaming, so hi everyone.
So I think I'm kind of at that spot right now. I'm kind of locked in, because it's like when you go to do things, like when I go and visit Oddby, my partner, just going from Brooklyn through Manhattan to Jersey City, there's always kind of an adventure. There's always something you see and engage with, and you're like, oh my God, that guy, and did you see that cool thing? And just going from A to B, especially growing up in the desert, where there's really none of that.
No.
And where I grew up is kind of my personal hell as far as living situations, where you live in a box, and then you get in a little box and you drive that to another box, and everything that you do, every part of your day is disconnected from the world around you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? There's the people that you live with in your house, there's you in your car, and then there's you at your office or your gym or whatever. There's no like being out in it. There's no feeling that you're really sharing a community or you're in any kind of space with other people.
And I grew up in Ohio, but Phoenix, I go out to Phoenix every couple of months.
Where were you in Ohio? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Ohio, in Canton, Ohio. Pro Football Hall of Fame and meth is what we had going on. About 40 minutes south of Cleveland.
Wait, hold on. You're saying meth was big in Canton, Ohio?
Meth, yeah. No.
Oh, okay. Because Arizona was like the Breaking Bad shit.
Oh, it was, yeah, totally.
Like, that was I thought that was kind of the ground zero for that shit.
And I'm not, and I have a lot of friends that still live in suburbs and stuff like that. It's personally not for me, because it's the same kind of a thing like you're saying, that it's like you lead a very disconnected life.
Yeah.
And it takes, I'm like, my friends are really nice and really sweet, and they're very generous people, and they care about their communities. It's very easy to not be that person. When you're that disconnected from other people, it's very easy to just become increasingly self-centered. It's your small little tribe, the people in your home, and that's it, type of a thing. You start caring less about your neighbors. You start caring less about others. There's a reason why when people move to cities, they tend to get a little more liberal, at least, is because we're just forced to, because we have to care. We don't have the option to not give a shit.
You have to be back to back with people that might be presented to you as scary people through media or politically. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you have to deal with people that were presented to you like as like, okay, those people are bad or terrorists, or those people are encroaching upon our rights as people or something. You're like, oh, actually, that guy he runs my deli and he's really cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so you just have to get along. But the level of hate here is really in your face, and it's very honest.
Yeah.
Like people at your bodega or people at the laundry would be like, fuck, I fucking hate you. And they'll just yell right at you. Yeah. They don't go home and like, they don't get in their truck and do like a reel about it. They're right there telling you exactly what you think. But
that was a bit of a shock for me here. Lord Gregory says, as an introvert, I'm pretty happy in my isolated box. Of course, and that's the thing, Lord Gregory, is that it's just like it's different strokes for different folks, Because I was happy in my isolated box for the longest time too, and it's still stepping out, here is still sometimes stressful.
Yeah, I want to say, I really like being in small spaces, and I like having days where I don't talk to anybody personally. I still like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that puts me on the scale. I haven't taken the test. I don't know where I fall. But you can still be very much an introvert. Like when I go somewhere on the train, I'm not talking to random people. I'm just absorbing it. I'm just looking around and kind of absorbing
partially because we don't do that here. People think you're trying to sell them something. You start talking to a random person. Like when I've had Ohio folks come through and they start talking at the grocery store to somebody in line, they're like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
The best case is they kind of ignore you. That's weird. Yeah. That's the best case scenario. But yeah, I think that I have friends that are introverts that live here, and they do well. I mean, they stay inside most of the time, but it's not like you really have to engage with people as you do in other parts of the U.S. where you're more expected to, like, when you pass somebody on the street, there's cities that I've been to in the last year where people are like, how you doing? How you doing?
Oh, yeah.
How you doing? And they nod and smile at you every 20 feet when you pass somebody on a biking trail. To me, that is more engagement than living in this city where everybody just goes about their own thing, you know?
You're
Even
an
though there's
anonymous
so many
drop
of
in
us
an
packed
ocean
together.
here, basically.
Yeah.
And there is something to be said about that. There is a lot to be said about that, actually.
Yeah.
But the pace of it was shocking for me too. The pace of it was. I mean, I was always a fast talker, but I lived in Texas for 4 years, so I kind of got a little bit kind of like this when I lived down there. I slowed
Where
down.
were you in Texas?
Dallas, Fort Worth.
Oh, okay, that's cool. There's a lot. That's a lot like Phoenix. There's a lot of similarities there.
Yeah, it's trying even more. I remember at the tail end of it, I was doing a music tech streaming and download startup that I was CTO of. That was one of the co-founders. And we were downtown in a really funky arts district called Deep Ellum, in downtown Dallas.
Yeah.
And it was kind of shady after dark. Like one of those types of neighborhoods, you know? Kind of felt a little bit like the dangerous parts of Austin in a way, but not as dangerous as other parts of Dallas. It was just like a funky arts district type of thing. And right at the tail end of when I left Dallas, they elected a new mayor, and she literally campaigned on, we're going to bulldoze Deep Ellum and build luxury shopping because it's a shithole, you know, type of thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, you have all these art galleries. You have all these like independent restaurants and bars. You have, yes, you've got crime. Yes, you've got grime. You know, you've got all of that. But it's like one of the oldest districts in the neighborhood, in the city, and they wanted to like tear it down and build, luxury shopping destination.
And so what happened?
Well, they tore down about half of it, and then she got voted out, I think. So
yeah, that's kind of
luxury shopping never came there. It just became a bunch of overpriced condos, I think.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what people talk a lot about. New York is like, since New York is becoming a lot of Chipotle's and like, I don't know, I can't think of another good example.
Chase Banks, banks, a lot of banks.
A lot of Chase Banks. Like people are saying, like, where's the new spot to go for like the gritty art stuff? And people were saying Detroit for a while. But as people get more and more online, it's hard to say there will be another spot that's kind of like that. It's hard to say that it will shift to another area.
I mean, like, so in New York City proper, like the changes I saw in Astoria, because I was in Astoria for 17 and a half years, because I moved here in November, in the same apartment in Astoria, in New York. And
so
then
at a good price, good rate.
Oh, it was great. It was awesome. Yeah. The landlords are really sweet too. But like, watching the changes in that neighborhood, where it went from being like the sleepy thing that all my Brooklyn friends clowned on, to then my Brooklyn friends being like, so we're looking at an apartment in New York, in Astoria. Like, motherfucker, you know, like, come on, man. Like, we went to a bar there. It was really cool. It was like a cocktail bar. It was like a speakeasy. I'm like, gosh. You don't get to come to Astoria. Anyway.
Yeah, that's still happening too. I still feel like it's kind of like a speakeasy. You have to go through this and then you go through the back of a phone booth. I'm like, yo, come on. You're not still doing that, are you?
I was in Scottsdale two trips ago, out in Scottsdale, and it was one of those things where it was like a donut shop or something. I don't remember the exact place. And they're like, and then you go through the phone booth and you like dial 0 and the door unlocks and you go in there and it's this crazy cocktail bar. And it was an incredibly good cocktail bar. The cocktails knocked, man. The cocktails knocked. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but I'm like, we're still doing this in the year of our Lord.
Well, Scottsdale's a little bit behind in some ways. Scottsdale's kind of like a mini Vegas, Miami Beach.
Yeah, it's
vibe. Like, they're not really trying to be artsy or edgy out there. They're just trying to get that Beverly Hills kind of game going. That's all they really want out of it.
Yeah, like, so Brooklyn friends move into Astoria, and then Astoria's the prices went up. I mean, I was about 800 to 1,000 below market by the time I left.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
It was crazy
Yeah.
trendy, but I bring it up because it was kind of a funky, artsy area before people discovered that it was there. Because it was always sleepy and quiet and not that hip, but it was 5
Yeah.
subway stops from Manhattan and safe. And the
Yeah.
rents were cheap, so there were a lot of artists that lived there, a lot of artists and actors. And now they're all priced out. So I'm in Sunnyside now, which is pretty cool, but it's even sleepier than Astoria ever was.
Yeah.
Hood Gotham still calls the shots with cool, though it's constantly getting gentrified out of coolness, the Oddby. Hey, Oddby.
Yeah. Are you listening to the Abby? Are you listening to the show on headphones? Oh, look at that! Look at that! That's tech disconnection right there. She's in the same apartment listening on headphones. So I'm gonna turn the speakers down.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, Toto Robin, how you doing?
Hey, Robin. Yeah, so like Sunnyside is don't get me wrong, it's very cool. I love it here, but that might also be because I'm old and I like a good pub.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Your priorities definitely shift. I'm already. Hey, Toto. Whoa, ho, ho, it's Toto. You know, have to believe it's not so. Oh, I don't know the last chord. So that's right.
That's right.
it,
Yeah, it's a flat 6, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe I brought that up.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. But in terms of if it's not going to be, I mean, where's it going to be next? I mean, Montreal's kind of hip, but you know,
Yeah.
they're getting priced out there too.
I like New Orleans. I
New
don't know if
Orleans
that's
is
really-
man. New Orleans is cool. Spent a lot of time in New Orleans.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm not looking for it. Like I'm happy wherever it is.
Oh, yeah.
I'm happy where I am here. We'll see how things go with climate, and we'll see how things go with prices. And
Yeah,
stuff.
that's what scares me about New York, folks. This has been a topic of conversation, like here in my social group. Like I don't see myself leaving New York for any reason other than the fact that it's fallen apart. And I don't mean that like what you're seeing on the news, because what you're seeing on the news
Sure. Yeah,
is
yeah.
what people in the rest of the country are seeing, what you folks are seeing about New York
Oh
City.
my God, it's ridiculous.
It's bullshit.
ridiculous.
It's
Yeah.
bullshit. Okay,
You would think I got 2 abortions every day if you watch the news
only one.
about living in New York. Like it's just the shit that they talk about the
Yeah.
city and how crime and abortion and we don't do Thanksgiving anymore for some reason.
You
Like,
can't
there
say
was a
Merry
story-
Christmas. People
Can't say Merry Christmas. You get hit with a brick. Like,
people were trying to tell me that you can't say Merry Christmas in New York City, and I'm like, I run the New York Holiday Singers. I was on Good Morning America, and we sang "We Wish You a Merry Christmas," like
Yeah.
in Times Square, like no problem. Like
Yeah.
literally, I run a holiday business. That type of people are like, no, you can't say it. It's against the law. Basically, it's against the law. I'm like, no, what the fuck? But it's so when I say crumbling, I don't mean that kind of stuff.
yeah.
I mean the fact that the MTA, like the trains, like we're having problems with our trains. We're having problems with our bridges. What's that bridge, the Cantilever Bridge on the down toward Brooklyn near the Navy Yards? They have to they're banning heavier trucks from going over because they're afraid it might collapse.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, yeah. Like that's the kind of shit that scares me about New York City. That's what the kind of stuff that might make me go. It's like that worries me.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. I'd be fucking with it.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, the Oddby was thrown off the subway platform, got up, got arrested by the NYPD, but for being alive. How many times did they hit you first? And got an abortion while a rat ate my pizza. Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
That's once a day on a good day. I feel like maybe that happens twice a day.
I mean, it just makes the commute a little spicy. That's all.
yeah.
Yeah. So so that's the kind of stuff that worries me about New York. But in terms of, yeah, I mean, you're right though. You're very right that. Where's the next? I don't know if there is going to be another big arts neighborhood because everything has moved so digital at this point, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's a pretty good. That's a pretty big question mark, though. Like where I would go after this. I think I would go move to another country. I think that's like, I've traveled extensively. I think for the average person, I guess if you rated that, but I've never really sat down somewhere else for a year or 2 years and really absorbed somebody else's culture. I think especially as I get older, that sounds nice. You know, I might be able to do, especially with streaming and internet being what it is. I can still share music with other people. And I could kind of dig something else for a little bit. But
I mean, I always
other
joke
than
that I could get a shack on an island in Greece if I had a piano, a kitchen, and an internet connection.
Yeah.
You know, like that would be pretty, and a bed probably to sleep on, though not completely necessary.
Not necessary. You get enough coffee. You don't need to mess with
But I could just go there and just be like, because because I've kind of lived that life only for a couple of months at a time, but I've kind of lived that life, and it's just like there's something to be said about that. But then again, that country's going to shit too, so whatever. So back to creative breaks.
So what do you got planned coming up? Like, what is your musical plans for the next 3 to 6 months?
What have I got planned coming up?
Yeah.
Brother,
we
man.
got to check in with, this is checking in with my friend, the Quado. So we are checking in here. What do you got coming up? Tell us.
I have stopped making any kinds of plans for my music. I had to, because all I did was feel shitty when I would miss them. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, I'm on a big kick now to try to give myself a little bit of grace.
Okay.
Because I was really, really bad at that. And I would lay out plans being like, I'm going to release, a single every 2 months, because I have so many things just back burner, dude. I don't know if you were in my Cash Masher Trash stream like last year.
Yeah, I was. I enjoyed that quite a bit.
Yeah. That, I have like 1,000 ideas like in my iTunes and stuff like that, dude. And I just I'm going to do a single every 2 months. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Well, it's going to be fantastic. It'll be great. It's going to be great. And then I didn't do any of it. Then I felt like a piece of shit. So, so I'm trying to like give myself some grace, work through some stuff. So my only thing that I have coming up goal wise is that I'm just going to try to keep streaming, though I took a 3-week break recently because I was traveling, and stuff. And I just try to keep making some art and doing that. And hopefully, once I finish getting this place put together, because I've been here since November, I still haven't finished putting it together.
Yeah. You got like a crime lab vibe going in the background there.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's like CSI. I think you missed the Hive tour earlier when I walked through all the entire
I saw a little bit of it, yeah.
And I don't know if you saw the kitchen, because I have cameras in there too. I'm cooking later on. I was making my coffee and I made breakfast this morning and stuff.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, dude, my music stuff is not that particularly interesting. I have, I've got singles and I've got this visual album that the music has been written for like 5 years at this point, 6 years at this point, and I've
visual album. Explain.
Basically, wrote a whole sequence of songs, and then I wanted to put like a film behind it, like a dialogue-less, like a visual album, like basically long form music videos, if that makes sense, but that tells a cohesive narrative.
But how? Like you mean actually shot?
Some of it shot
with the camera, or animated, or how you?
Some of it animated, some of it animated 3D, some of it shot. Yes, that was the original plan.
That's a big chunk.
And that's part of why I had all the camera gear that I had, was for other things too. I always get my gear, like my photography gear, my camera, my video gear. I always had it for personal projects, and then I would pay it off by doing commercial work. And then once the commercial work got paid off, I was like, cool, bet, I'm done. And then I ended up selling a bunch because I didn't have time. I ended up selling it, like my Steadicam and like my nice cinema camera and stuff. I sold all that stuff during the pandemic. So I'd love to get back to that at some point, the same way I got back to Waiting at the Tide when I finally finished that after like 20 years. I'd love to get back to that, but it's just like, man, at this point I'm just trying to keep going, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I really like what you said, though. That's something that I want to bring to kind of my return. I like saying my return because it makes it sound so grand. But when I kind of start getting back into things a little bit more, I want to bring that kind of patience and grace with myself too. I'm just so hard on myself with things like this. Yeah. And I push myself too hard and too late at night and all that stuff. And I want to try, and I think I'd enjoy it more if I just cut myself a little bit slack.
Yeah, it's some hard of that to do.
Realistic goals and and taking things kind of a piece at a time and continuing to do something else besides work and music. If it's like learning a language or getting better at surfing or whatever I'm going to do, continuing to kind of to do something outside of it, so you get that break a little bit. So I think I see a direct relation between putting in a lot of time on the work end of things and then getting frustrated when it doesn't go exactly as I want it to. You know what I'm saying?
That sounds very familiar, yeah.
If I gave myself a break and didn't put in quite so many hours, then it's like if it doesn't go like it's supposed to, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? I didn't spend my whole week on it. I went out and did this other thing that I also like. I got this other time in, but it's like when your focus is pack as much in on your off time and then, your expectations aren't met, then you get a little shruggy, Yeah.
The other problem that I've got too is all my personal projects, especially my code stuff. I find coding, programming tickles the same part of my creative brain as composing, producing.
Oh, cool.
Not nearly as sexy, but it tickles the same part of my brain. So it's like, in terms of the dopamine hit, finishing like a really cool feature on this platform I'm writing for myself, type of thing, is like, yeah, it feels really good. It hits the same kind of a dopamine hit. So it starts becoming like, what is the purpose of art? And it starts delving into that type of it's not a metaphysics conversation. You're a thinker. Come on. What is that conversation? But what is the nature and purpose of art to the artist?
Sure.
How about you? What you got coming back besides coming back on?
I gotta see. There I am. There's my language. I gotta. I want to finish this record, the first Lullabies record. One of the things that I've done when I look back through my musical career is I've gone in a lot of different directions, but I haven't put out as much music as I would have liked to in the last 10 or 15 years for the ideas I've had. I've collaborated with people. I worked on other people's studio projects. I was a musician for hire. I toured with cover bands. I did all that stuff. I didn't do as much of my stuff as I want to. And I've actually refused a couple things. Like there were some things that I would have picked up in the last year where people have said, hey, I want you to track on this thing. Come back and do this. I'm like, I'm not doing that. The only music thing, because now I have a job where I don't have to make money through music. It's not important that I make money through music. So I've had the presence of mind to say, I'm not taking any other I'm only working on my stuff for the foreseeable future, because there's just not as much I feel like I could, like you, I feel like I could spend the next 20 years releasing stuff and never get it all out there, never finish it all.
Yeah.
So I want to finish this record, and then I have big old hoop dreams about attaching visual elements to it. And I have a couple animators that I'm talking to, but it's tough though. I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah,
like just to get the music out there is one thing, but to produce animation, and what I mean by that is not do it, but hire the right person to do it, manage them doing it, get the funding for it, get it all in line, make sure it looks like how you want it to look. It's a big chunk. So I'm going to start getting back into that. I think I'm going to start just streaming, I don't know what you call them, festivals or just raid trains, but try and keep it to once a week, once every couple of weeks. So I'm not doing a regular night and then a couple streams on top of that, because I was talking to Total Robin about this.
Yeah, totally.
I always tell myself, like, well, just make one set and play it for all 3 streams this week, right? That's what I say. But I can't do it. But every time I play one set, people have already heard that. It's never the same people, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But I don't let myself do that. Then I'm like, well, we'll take 3 songs out of this, and then we'll make a whole new set. And man, so that's like 6 hours of my week besides doing the stream of like, okay, we'll put this in here and put this, and this has got to be practiced. So instead
you craft your stuff. Like maybe someday I'm going to get there. Like I don't know how you have time. I seriously, and Robin, I'm going to be talking to Robin about this too. Spoiler alert, Robin. It's like be talking about this kind of stuff. Is like practicing songs and having them written like somewhat built so you kind of know what you're doing. I've done it maybe 3 times in all the times I've been streaming. I just kind of fucking wing it. I'm just winging everything. So yeah.
Yeah, I can't do that. I was one of those people, like when I was a kid and friends would come over and they would be like, "Hey, let's jam."
Yeah.
And this is cool. And I'm not hating on people that jam, and a lot of my friends jam.
I was in a jam band. I was in Chili Peppers meets the Police meets Fish. I was a band that
amazing.
Yeah.
But when that happened with me, and I'm talking about like 15-year-old me.
Okay.
Like we'd be jamming, and then I'd be like, "Oh my God, that part is great. Hold on, let's do that again." And I'd be like, okay, so where do we go? And they're like, man, it's just a jam. I'm like, but it's good. I want to start putting it into a song. It's not. No. And it took me a while to be brave enough to be able to tell people, no, like, I don't want to jam. I'll work on music with you. Send me an idea and let's play it out and we'll see where it goes. And we'll work. And at the end of the day, we'll have a finished song.
Yeah.
But the idea of like kind of improvising and jamming, it's something I do at home, but I just don't feel comfortable doing it. I like to have a framework, and within the framework that I play in, that I stream in, there's plenty of improvisation.
Well, naturally.
I have like 3 different parts, and I go back and forth and play over them and stuff like that. But yeah, it just doesn't feel good to me to just start not knowing where it goes. I want to have specific beats that I hit in songs that I play, and it's just kind of, it's tough too, because it's harder to fill 90 minutes to 2 hours when you're doing structure like that, because it's a lot to plot. When you're just seeing where it goes for 20 minutes, you only need 3 of those jams to fill out 60 minutes. So
But
that is definitely something that I struggle with.
You guys, you folks have seen firsthand. You, Mitchell, Robin, have seen firsthand when I've been like, I'm gonna kind of plan out the rough strokes of my set for like special events and stuff like that, like the sweat, like just the stress involved in it. Because I'm still learning how to use Ableton on top of it all. You know what I mean? It's not just me playing piano; it's me like trying to coordinate 8-10 different keyboards.
But I wish that some of the streamers that I like, some of the streamers that I really clue into, I hear them hit these points in their streams, a lot of which are jams.
Yeah.
And I want to hear it again. I'm like, oh man, I wish you would just play that again.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm one of those people, like somebody saying in the chat right now, where there are songs that I've listened to, I don't know, tens of thousands of times, and I'll listen to them again today, and I just don't get tired of them. So that's one of the things that I wish there was more of in streaming culture, is that it seems like there are streamers that play cover songs,
yes,
right, and then do a couple of their originals, and then there are streamers that jam. But I wish there were more streaming shows. Like Liquado is streaming a set at 8 p.m. on Wednesday, and it's like a greatest hits of Liquado's original music. And it's 45 minutes, and you're there, you're tuned in the whole time. I mean, you're still working and doing your things or cooking or something like that. But then, like, throughout the stream, you're like, yes, this one, hell yeah. And you get into it because it's something that you recognize and you've grown fond of. And I wish that was more of an accepted thing to have, quote unquote, shows that were like 45 minutes to an hour shows on Twitch.
Yeah.
Where it's like, and this night at this time, there's going to be this music, and you're going to be, I would go on Spotify and be like, oh, or Apple Music or Bandcamp and be like, oh yeah, this is the Liquado song. I hope he plays that on Friday. Because that's what you get excited about when you go and see your artists.
You see a live band, like see your buddy playing in Brooklyn, playing.
Yeah, you want to see them like work out and do some cool stuff, but you also want to hear something and that feeling of familiarity just sometimes inspires you. It warms your soul, and I wish that more people would develop their their stuff into songs that they played regularly. A lot of the streamers that I know, I wish that they would do that.
I'm about to do this
speech
point
over
here. You've been in my streams, so like I'll go back, like I improvise a song, and sometimes I'll freestyle lyrics, and I'm not great at freestyling, so I'll go back and rewrite them after the fact. But then it goes into my lyrics folder. If it's something I'm like, oh, that was a good idea, I'm gonna hang on to that, and I'll bring them back. Like I'll hold you, a loft, like that kind of stuff. I'll bring some of those tracks back in other future streams and keep refining it as I go. So the reason I made my screen bigger tonight at 7, when I actually stream music, like really stream music for 2 hours, I opened up song requests. I went back through all my previous streams and found some of
nice.
The ideas I've brought back, the original songs that I've brought back is like over and over again, but also ones that I only ever did once. I'm like, man, that was a really cool idea. I want to explore it some more. So I'm opening up song requests. And I think there's only one cover on the entire song list. The rest are all stuff that I pretty much came up with on the stream to what you're saying, because I have, again, like you, I've got nothing against people that just want to jam and just want to improvise. And it just is ephemeral, and it lives in that moment, and that's the only time it lives, and it's gone after. I've got nothing against that.
There is a beauty to that.
Yes.
There's something very special about that.
Yes.
There's no doubt about it.
But hey, Actitech, good to see you. To me, it is kind of like, I feel, because I call it, Dan and I talked about this too, that it's like, what I do is not ambient. It's it's melodic, so I call it melodic ambient. I don't know what the hell to call it. It's not under the umbrella of what I would consider ambient. It's just, it has to exist outside of that moment as well. Though there are songs, and it was really challenging when I was releasing every show as an album to like edit it and title every track. You know what I mean? But then there's stuff that I'm like, no, this has to exist outside of the moment. It's something that I want to have exist in the world. So I just used to revisit it. There's only like about 6 of them that I've been doing regularly, 6 or 8 that I've been doing regularly. But I'm hoping to do that more and more. So it's funny that you mentioned that. It's something that I've been working toward doing too. But it's not going to be, like you said, a 45-minute tight set that I'd play in, like, whatchamacallit, in Bushwick. I'd play like a cool bar in Bushwick or Williamsburg. I wouldn't. It's not going to be like that.
There's no space to do it. There's no precedent for it right now on Twitch. I mean, it just doesn't exist. Like when you log on, start streaming. People don't come in 20, 30 minutes. You're on 45 minutes, an hour in, like people come through. So it's not really a part of the culture that exists right now. Like I said, the people that do 90% covers, yeah, they'll play for 4 hours and throw that out there. But if you don't hear that, the format of like 10 originals with 2 covers mixed in, you know,
like what we used to do when we played in bands, like
what you do when you play out, and that's what
exactly.
That's what I'm like. I kind of just want to bring it in myself and start doing that. Not start doing that, but continue to do that because it's already kind of what I do.
You have your originals that I'll hop on there. I'm like, oh, there it is. I love that track. Oh, I love that track. Dan does the same thing too. Like, he does mostly originals, some covers, or he does about 50-50 mix, and it's the same kind of thing. It's great. It's brilliant, man. And new stuff. Like, you remember, like when you'd be in a band or when you'd go hear a band and you'd be like, oh shit, this is their new song. They just wrote it this week.
Yeah. And it's a big deal. And they're like, okay, this is new. Like, check it out. And they're kind of nervous. And you're like, okay, I'm with it so far. Like, oh my God, that bridge was way too long or whatever. But you're like, you're engaged. You're like, clearly the bass player wrote this. But you're engaged with it.
Sorry, bass player.
Yeah, but you're engaged with it because you're like, they tell you, like, sit up, pay attention. This is something that, you know, that we're just trying, and you appreciate them kind of throwing it out there. And
like my buddy that plays in Brooklyn a lot, and I really need to get out to more of his shows. He'll drop, he like plans it. He drops a single like on a Wednesday or whatever, and then like on my show on Thursday or Friday, we're debuting the new single, like that type of thing.
Yeah,
and it's just like he's like a rock kind of punk pop adjacent type of artist. Okay, and that's how it is. I mean, he'll like literally
pop parallel.
Yeah, there you go.
It's pop punk parallel.
Pop punk parallel.
Yeah,
3P. He's pianissimo. No, so like. He'll literally plan it that whenever a new single's coming out, he has to have a show that week.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's the way to do it, man. And it's hard for us on Twitch because there's not really, you're right, it's not like we can necessarily do that. I mean, maybe if I were, going back to your earlier question, what my music plans are, if I were actually releasing music, you can bet your ass I'd be doing that. But I haven't really shit in like 3 years, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible to bring that culture into play. I mean, I don't, not for 1 or 2 people, but like I said, it's kind of against the advice of other people and myself. Like if I talk to somebody about Twitch, I'm like, you got to stream for hours and you got to do it this day and be consistent and stuff. And then I don't really do that. But it's kind of like, against the advice that I give and take, like that's what I like to do. That's what I want to do is say like, yo, whether people get in 45 minutes later or never, I want to play from 10 to 11 and I want to play a set and I want it to have a narrative to the set. Yeah. And I'm going to put in covers or like cover drops. Like what I do a lot of is I just use a vocal element from one song, but I write my own song to it. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I'm really jazzed about now because music has made such a massive impact on my life that to me, I feel like I'm worshiping, like I'm paying homage to that music when I do it, when I'm giving credit out to that thing that's moved me, but I'm also taking it somewhere new. You know what I'm saying? I'm not playing a cover because like face it, we've all been out and like heard a guitar player playing a cover in the corner and be like, now I just want to listen to the real song. You know, like you did an okay version of it, but like whatever. It's just
how many versions of Watchtower have we heard over the years?
It's the same song with everything stripped away. Like it's nothing new. Yeah. So I really dig taking a piece of another song, especially the vocal or just the beat, and then I make my own song on top of it. And people get it. People hear it, and they're like, "Oh, that's that song, but that's kind of different." So I like doing that. But
like your Blinding Lights cover was brilliant. So yeah,
I like that. I had a lot of fun with that. But so what I like doing is putting those in like every second or third song, so it keeps people engaged. I also believe that. Just from my experience, your brain fills up. If you're doing stuff that's all new, like with what you can take in, like say you go to see bands play, right? And you don't know any of the bands, and it's a 4-band bill. After about 2.5, 3 bands, your brain is full. My brain is full. I'm like, I can't take any new, I can't absorb anything new. I can't watch four of the Harry Potter films at one time. It's too much. I can't absorb anymore. Like I have to stop and process what I've heard. So
plus Alan Rickman's just like is too sexy. So it's just like
it's too sexy.
He's too sexy. He's too sexy. No, I hear you.
So I feel the same way with throwing in. That's why I advise people throw in covers, and covers is kind of a lot of people think it's kind of a pejorative term or negative term, whatever the word is for it. But I think especially in Twitch and with electronic music, you can fuck with it and make it your own.
That's what Glenn Parnell just said. I like
Yeah.
covers which are done in the style of the person covering it rather than in the style of the original artist. It's more interesting than absolutely.
Yeah, do it. Bring yourself to the music. Like,
Yeah.
put yourself in there.
Yeah.
But that's why I like to drop them in, because I feel like after a while, your brain is like, I've gotten so much new art is probably the wrong word for it, but I've just gotten so much new input that I need to stop and process that input. I need something I know, just for 5 minutes or so, just to kind of get into that, and then I'm back to things I don't know. If you're focusing, but I'm the kind of person, unlike most people, where if music is on, it's really hard for me to just let it go in the background. Like some music
funny
I
you say
can,
that.
but I have to kind of focus on it a little bit. So that's where I'm coming at it different than most people. Most people can have stuff going for hours and they're
don't
only
even-
paying
yeah.
attention about 20-30%. So
I tell people, they'll send me like a new band, like, you have to check this out, or send me something. I'm like, and if I'm in the middle of a project, dude, I tell them I'll check this out in a couple of weeks. Because when I'm in the middle of working on stuff, I have to listen to music I've heard like 1,000 times. Because if there's anything new
yeah.
I discover, like if I put like a Spotify playlist radio type thing on, then I'm just like, I start, what is this? What is this? Oh, what are they doing here? I'm the same way. I focus on it instead of letting my brain just kind of shut off, and that part of my brain shut off and work on what I'm working on. So
just
yeah.
like you have to, when you have to have a deadline. If you want to do something, especially if it's something under 3 or 4 songs,
Yeah.
get it done in 2 months. Oh my God, the worst. And I've stepped in this puddle of poo more times than I could than I care to admit. But to say this, because the same thing happens. Say you're a month in and you're doing 2 tracks, right? Just 2 tracks.
Sure.
And you're most of the way done, but you put it aside to do something else, and then you come back and you have a new piece of gear. You come back and you're like, oh, I should have used the Eventide audio on this. I'll just retract this. And that shit drags on for 6 months. Get it done quick, put it away, pay to get it mastered, because then you've invested money, and you're like, well, now I don't want to change something because then I have to reinvest or put it on Spotify. I know people hate Spotify on Twitch, but get it out there to where you can leave it alone. Don't leave it in a place where you can still mess with it, because you're always getting new gear and new input. So give yourself a tight amount of time, get it done, get it mastered, get it out in the world, work on the next song, because so many people, including myself, have had projects that were supposed to take 6 weeks, and then you let it go for a while, and then you have to go back and retrack this, and that wasn't good enough, and I could have made this better, and all of a sudden, a year later, people are like, what happened to that single? You're like, well, I'm still working on it.
Yeah.
It's supposed to take 6
The
weeks.
best advice my brother ever gave me, my older brother ever gave me, about music, he's also a composer and arranger, and a pretty decent producer himself, not electronic like the other stuff, was that a song or a composition is a frozen moment in time of who you are as an artist.
Yeah,
And you will always grow, or you should, you probably will always grow, you will always improve, you will always get better. And that is a Polaroid picture of who you were at that moment in time, so let it be a picture of who you were right then.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes from a producer friend that I used to work with, he would say, like, is this the last song you're ever going to make? So I'd be like, we need to change that. Is this the last song you're going to make in your life? Yeah. No? All right, well, let's let it go. Let's save that for the next song.
Yeah,
because you got plenty ahead of you.
That's a good way of looking at it.
So wait, I got to ask, though, do you work with your brother? Have you collaborated with your brother on stuff? You must have.
No.
Okay.
He's 6 years older than I am. He's in Ohio. Remember I was talking about my niece and my 2 nephews that were in the family band that made it to the finals of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame high school band Rock Off? I don't know if you were on my streams when I was talking about that. I was in Cleveland for that. They made it to the semifinals and the finals. Live Nation Rock and Roll Hall of Fame high school Rock Off. They made it to the finals. They were a family band, a trio. A niece and 2 nephews. It's his kids.
Okay.
So, no, we really didn't. Just because, I'll send him like mixes and he'll send me mixes like over the years, being like, hey, can you just check this out? And occasionally it'll be like, hey, I can't really crack the nut of this bridge, or he'll send it to me being like, hey, what do you think about this hook? Like that type of stuff. But nothing more formal than that. Though we have joked, he's a physician and he's a really, really good one, by the way. He's a really good doctor. We have joked that if I
Is
had
he a network?
Huh?
Is he a network? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, there you go. No, we'd like, if my life had gone a kind of a different way, he's like, I'll manage you. I'm like, the fuck you will. But like, so yeah. Dude, yeah, man.
So let's talk about the rest of your day though before we split.
Okay.
Like, do some plugging. Who else is? I know basically who's coming on, but what time are we doing? Who's coming
All right.
up? What are you going to talk
the
about?
next
What's
hour,
happening?
I'm going to probably make some more coffee after running to the restroom, and finish up the Hive tour, make a little bit of music. And then at 3 p.m. Eastern Time in 1 hour, we have got the inimitable Toto Robin. Toto Robin will be joining us.
Whoa, ho, ho, it's Toto. You know. Okay, sorry.
Yep, and then
from there,
at 4 p.m. we've got some more music making. I'm kind of considering it music horsing around, to be honest. Kind of like just shitting around a little bit, just for these hours here and there. Then at 5 p.m. Eastern, we have got Actitect. Shrimp Daddy is shrimp daddying all over all of us. Wait. And then at 6 p.m., 6 to 7, though it might stretch a little bit more, is Cooking with Luke. I'm making Mongolian beef and rice.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And then from 7, unless the cooking takes longer, 7 to 9, because I have to eat. 7 to 9 is song requests, music and song requests for the first time. I've got the song list of my favorite singles that I'd come up with, or favorite songs I'd come up with over the stream. 9 to 11 p.m., we've got the Await Not the Tide listening party, which is my favorite project I've ever released. And stoked about with lyric videos and stuff like that. Yeah. 11 until... we'll see how long it goes. It's going to be cocktail making and then live production and chat, just kind of come up with some stuff. It's going to take 3 hours.
That's how shit goes.
That's only if I'm making cocktails while I'm cooking. And then at 2 a.m. until 4 or 2 to 3, we'll see how long we go. Ken, the Missing Note, and I are doing an ambient jam, a remote jam.
Yeah. I will be in Slumberland by then, but I will definitely check in with you throughout the day. So, I just had a really good idea. All right, let's make this happen. And I'm not kidding about this. Okay. So here's what we can do, right? We should start when we're listening to people that we dig and we dig a piece of it and we're like, that fucking part, it's just killing me inside. It's tweaking my heart. I love what you're doing. I was listening to like a Your Opponent stream a couple days ago and there was one part that I was like, and I clipped it. We should start clipping each other, clipping more people that we're listening to and just putting it out there like, love this part or this really grabbed me or something. Tell people. I feel like this could go toward my goal of having people revisit music that people like, right?
Yeah.
But there's no way to communicate that. You do your stream and you're like, well, I did my stream. Who knows? Maybe you probably listen to it again. I listen to mine again. But you don't really know what resonates with people. So I think we should start, and I hate to keep saying culture, but whatever. We start a culture of clipping stuff that we like from other people and then get the message out there. Okay, when you go through your stream, you can see what resonated with people. Yeah. Like this dude really liked this 30 seconds. Go back and do that 30 seconds again. Bring that back into your stream. And that's an easy way for people that are more jammy to see what landed with people. Yeah. And then awesome from their audience to, for the audience to be like, hey, or whatever, if someone's doing this, or if Actitect is doing it, or Toto's doing this, then Toto can be like, oh yeah, I'm doing this again because so-and-so really dug it. And that's what you want. You want connection too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like if I'm playing something and there's somebody on my stream that I know likes something, I'm going to do that for them every time because it's about the give and take and it's about that kind of cyclical happiness that you share with the people that are watching.
No, that's a really good idea.
I think we should make that a thing.
We should make that a thing. I was going to say I need to learn how to do clips. I need to learn how to do that then.
It's literally one button.
Is it? When you're viewing somebody's stream, I have to figure it out.
But yeah, let's do it. Let's get it out there. Start this culture of clipping. When you dig something, fucking clip that thing, and then the person can do something with it, or they can not do something with it, but it gives people an opportunity.
But at least it's the feedback,
Understand.
At least it's
because we're all throwing up emotes all the time, right?
Yeah.
You can't swim through that ocean. You never know what it means or how people are.
It's different when you're in a live show and you're playing in front of people and you can feel that energy coming off of them. You're like, they're vibing this.
So to do that, to take that extra step and clip something is kind of like,
please do what Toto Robin says.
If you do that like once or twice in a stream, like obviously you don't do it 4 or 5 times, then the person knows like, all right, so this is grabbing people. I'm going to keep this on a shelf. Yeah. Maybe I'll bring it back next week. Maybe I'll work it out again. So everything is not so ephemeral that when I tune into a Toto stream, maybe I'm like, like that song, like Wandering Lilacs or whatever. Like I just made that up, but that could be. I feel
that could be a Toto Robin title.
A Toto Robin song.
That could be that could be a Robin.
So I'll put that. I'm here and like put that in the Discord. I'm not really in the Discord too much, but I'll throw it in there. For sure. I just think we should all do that. We should all just start doing it and make it part of.
I think we should, Steggy, we're talking about if you're in somebody's stream like that is like improvising or even jamming or something like that, liberally clipping. Like just clipping away, like making clips of stuff that you like, grooves that you like.
Well, okay. But we keep it manageable. Like once or twice.
Once or twice.
To a stream. Like you don't want to overload people with like,
well, I mean, I'm saying like
clips.
most people don't clip ever.
At all.
So like a stream would be liberally clipping is what I'm getting. Yeah. Being like, if somebody does something that is resonating with you, if somebody's doing something that's just moving you, that is just kind of is rolling your socks up and down, clips that the artist gets that feedback too.
Yeah, absolutely. Throw it up somewhere. And then like I always say, and it still makes me sad that I don't see enough of this. You gotta throw up props for each other on the socials. I see people on the socials, and some people are like, just in your stories or whatever. When you like that stuff, put that up somewhere so other people can see it too. Yeah,
you're good about that. Ken is good about that. I try to be. I don't post that much. I try to be pretty good about it, because you folks like. I'm telling you, there's these streamers that have improved my life, and I say that on my stream often, that have made my life better, and y'all don't even know. So from the bottom of my heart, like, a lot of them are in the stream right now, or a lot in the chat right now. One of them is on the screen right now. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. It's been an interesting 12 months. And I give love and props as much as I remember to, basically, because I think everybody needs to check it out. There's such great music on Twitch, but there's some phenomenal people. So
yeah, that's true. It does make things less lonely.
Yeah.
It really does. Like sometimes when you're like, why am I doing whatever I'm doing, and am I doing it right, or what's going on? It does make it a lot less lonely. But yeah, we have to push back against this me culture that everybody's kind of putting us into as artists, where they're like, talk about yourself 17 times a day.
Yeah.
We got to push back against that and be like, look, we're going to talk about some other people too, because
I talk about, like, I'm kind of a snob about art being connection, and then if you're not putting it out there and if you're not trying to connect, then is it actually art? But that is a conversation for us to have in person if you go to NobCon this year, like the over.
Yeah. I'm not going to the what's the other one that's coming up in May?
Super Booth.
I don't think I'm going.
I'm not going to Super Booth. No, I couldn't make it happen.
I just don't know. If
I'm not to be in Phoenix.
Chicago's like $100 to fly there.
I might take the train, honestly, dude. I might take the Amtrak over. It's like 18 hours. Get a private room.
That's dope.
It's like arrive showered, rested.
Yeah. Journal on the way. Stare out the window and journal.
Yeah. I'd actually love taking the train and taking like the MC707 on the train and like a little controller keyboard.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So I can sit there and produce on the train too. I actually really enjoy doing that because the journey becomes part of the voyage, or the voyage becomes part of the vacation, or whatever you want to say.
I just had this flash idea of a video where you're like plugging away on the MC707 and like people are passing by, but they can't see you, but they can hear you.
Yeah.
And then it ends up being a throng, and the comedy of the video is like 2 minutes in, there's like 12 people all crammed
into the in the hallway,
barely in the hallway or in the room, like trying to rock out to you on this MC7.
In the dining car, or actually, if you get west of the Mississippi on the Amtrak, not to digress, because I want to let you go here, man. I appreciate you being here, but if you get west of the Mississippi and you get on the Superliners, the Superliner viewing cars are incredible, and they say that the Chicago to Albuquerque leg is one of the most beautiful train journeys in the world. Now, you're on Amtrak. You're not on a Belmont train in England, which is a gorgeous train, but it's, they do a fine enough job. But when you go think about it, Chicago through the Rockies to Albuquerque into the Southwest, people literally come from all over the world to see that, to go on that journey. So
nice.
Yeah, that's on my bucket list. So I can totally imagine. I think that's another thing I've wanted to do, is take a train out west, down to Albuquerque, and then up to the Bay Area, and just like take my key step and like the MC707 or something like that, and just like make music in one of my notebooks and just make music the whole way, basically. And there are all these musicians that have permanent staterooms on cruise ships. A couple of people do that too.
They work on cruise ships, you're saying?
No, I'm saying that they're not the people that work on the cruise ships. I'm saying that they're there as passengers, and because they can be on the ocean all the time.
I heard that was a thing. I saw a news article about like some people are like giving up their apartments just to live on cruise ships. Is that a similar thing?
Which is interesting.
It's cheaper in some ways. I
think. Probably cheaper in New York.
Yeah, it's probably cheap. All right, good.
All right, man. Hey, much love. Thank you so much for being here. And everybody in the chat, sorry we didn't get to any questions. Like, I didn't do a really good job of that with Dan either, to get to anything that the chat might have wanted to talk about. We were just shooting the shit.
Yeah, what we should do, we should definitely guest in too. I should be at your house, at your studio, once every couple months playing along. We should do that because we're close and we both have enough keyboards for three to seven people.
Yeah, I think we're pretty good. I think we can. Yeah, I think we could probably make that happen.
Probably make that work.
Yeah,
All right.
I've got room for it. Honestly, this space the way it's
And
set up.
we could dig into some cold case files behind you as well. We could try and figure out who murdered that person back in '57. You know,
It was
that poor lady.
Colonel Mustard.
We got a bastard in the cellar. Yeah.
No, it's like, and I shot him. And what's the ending of Clue? The real ending of Clue.
Didn't it had 7 endings? What are you talking about? The real ending?
It was there was one that was like, but this is how it happened, and he was like, I'm going home to sleep with my wife. That one is the official
I don't
one.
remember. I don't remember. I just remember they tried to get you to buy like 4 different tickets.
Yeah, because
that
they
came out
released
to
them
see
at
all
different
the-
theaters. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
All right.
No, I wonder who killed whom.
Yeah.
This is. Dude, this is an improvement. You should have seen what my old space looked like before I got all these gray boxes. You should have seen what it
Yeah.
looked like.
No, it
back
looks
then.
good.
Yeah.
It looks more organized than most crime labs.
Oh,
that
see
I-
now,
that-
see
that
now,
see
see
on
yeah,
TV.
see now. You're like, no, it looks good. It's fine, dude. It doesn't look at all like you don't look at all. It doesn't look at all fucked up. No, it's great. No, I don't mean that. I don't think that you're a hoarder. That's not what I'm saying.
Right. I wouldn't use the word hoarder if that was the case.
No, that's not at all what I meant. I meant it looks great. I mean, for a warehouse.
Yeah. What? How many rooms is this? Do you have a 2-bedroom
Three-bedroom.
apartment?
I've got a 3-bedroom.
Oh my God.
So this is the one they call this a bedroom. It was more of like the parlor in this building because it was pre-war. So it's like I want to say it's like 13 or 14 by like 17.
Okay.
And it's in the front or in the back of the house next to the kitchen. But they called this the master bedroom or the main bedroom. I considered it more a parlor, so I made it my office and studio. One bedroom in the front, and then the other bedroom, which is a little smaller, I made into my rec room that has the vocal booth in it and my workout gear. So, which you can tell I've been lifting because, I haven't been lifting in like 2 years. So I haven't finished setting all that up yet. The vocal booth is built now, but I haven't reattached the door because it's a sliding door that I made for it.
Okay.
So it's technically a 3-bedroom, then a nice big living room. Weird ass kitchen that you're about to see in a little bit once I go in there to make more coffee.
Yeah, I'm gonna check in on your cooking stream.
Yeah.
Make sure it's moving along.
Should be. I should make it.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right.
All right. Hey, Mitchell, thanks again, man. I really appreciate it.
Talk to you soon, brother.
Much love, and we'll get together. All right.
Okay.
Later. Bye.
All right. See you.